Alright, peoples, the no grease goes here. Alright, when I took off the brake drum, brake shoes fell out. So if you're using the Civic wheel cylinders, you'll probably have to grind out that oval and then drill out the holes a little bit larger for the wheel cylinders. This is the wheel cylinder I'm using. It's a cast iron Civic wheel cylinder, and it's got the correct 10 by 1.0 for Civic. And if you're using it on the Honda 600, you'll have to make new brake lines. Alright, I'm going to make a double flare, which is what the Honda 600 use. They don't use a bubble flare. So you put your tubing in the clamp here, and you put the adapter on, and then you put the tool on. And you crank it down, and when it's done, you take the adapter off, and then you push it down again, and that's the double flare. So there's one. Do it until it stops. Eventually we'll see it. Alright, so don't forget to put the brake line nuts on before you make your fittings. Looks good. It's probably the shortest brake line I've ever made. Alright, here's the fittings that I put on to make the Civic wheel cylinders work. It's got the stock hose, and it's going to a 10 by 125 nut, and then that little short tube goes to a 3/8 24 brake pipe nut. And that brass fitting is also SAE. So all the three fittings on the T-block are SAE. This one over here going into the wheel cylinder is 10 by 1.0 thread pitch. And I've already got this side on, so we'll demonstrate installing brakes on the other side. And then that long brake tube is one I bought, so it already have the one end flared, and the other end I had to flare as well, but it's got the correct nut sizes on it. So sometimes it's cheaper to buy a piece of brake tubing and then modify it. So over here I've already cleaned and lubricated the points, 3 spots on each side where I put some grease. I like the Super Lube grease. This is the one I use. Been using it for 30 years. Still glides good, and they also make some brake grease. So I've already cleaned up the adjusters here, and I'm ready to put the shoes back on. Yeah, so these are called brake nails because they look like nails. Anyway, one on each side in this hole. So this side you got to put the handbrake adjuster in. before you put it on the brake plate, before you put the shoe on. And this has got a hole in one side and the part for the nail on the other side. Notch to notch. Push my hands in the way again. And rotate the thing in. And then I put the springs on. When I put the springs on, I use diagonal cutters, because it's easy to catch the spring with it. And you don't have to grip them hard enough to cut the spring. That's just silly. Alright. Then you clean the drum and put the drum back on. I like to clean the drum on the inside with 80 grit sandpaper all the way around to get the glaze off. And then I put the drum on. The other thing you want to do, normally before you put the drum on, would be to put the handbrake cable back on. So if the brake shoes are already adjusted, you're going to have to loosen the adjustment or take the drum off again to get this handbrake cable back in. I'm going to put some grease on it because it's going to work better with grease. And then to adjust the brake shoes, I have a factory wrench, which is actually a Civic wrench. It's 07708-0020001, and it's a square peg wrench, and it fits on the adjuster perfectly. And the adjusters on the this model are on the back. So to make it tighter, you tighten it. Alright, so we're getting a little resistance now. So when they start getting a little resistance, you want to torque on the cable like you're working the handbrake, and rotate the drum at the same time, and then find that happy spot. I like them about there. Got a little drag, but it's not excessive. Alright, then we'll put the cotter pins back in. The new cotter pin on the brake nut, and then put on the cap. This cap here. So you put the cotter pin in so that the long section is to the outside. And you wing it down like that. And you bend this side up. Wing it up flat, and then you cut the bottom piece off. And you're done with that side. And you put the cup on, and I do not use the O-ring on here again, if it had one. Don't waste your time trying to find one.